then there's cash flow, and then there's the accounting, which is generally accepted accounting principles. There's very specific rules that auditors will look at, the tax people look at, the IRS, and from the accounting point of view, there's specific rules. You have to allocate your cost of the land all the way through to all the lots. But all your cash is out up front. So you really don't get your money back, which the public's, we never talk about cash flow. But what we do that places a huge importance on cash flow is something called return on investment or internal rate of return. Different companies just call it something different. And it's a calculation of how much, if you invest $10 million today, and it takes you 7 years to get all your sales, there's a calculation of how much did that $10 million earn. Was it 10%, 15, 20? And it's a strict calculation, and it's based on the cash flows. So if you put $10 million out today, and you get $30 million back, but none of it comes back for 10 years, you're not going to do the deal. Because the return over 10 years, it's not going to work, and there's risk involved. But if you spread it out over time and get $30 million back, maybe you'll get a 20% return on investment. And every public builder has and probably the private's the same, will have a specific number that they're targeting. It might be for return on investment or internal rate of return. It might be 15%, it might be 20%, it might be 25%, it might be, yeah. So a deal that's brand new, like building that 10-story high-rise that you never did before, you don't have architecture for it, it's in an area that's questionable, you might look at that and say, I need a higher return because there's a lot more risk. So instead of needing 20% return on investment, I'm going to need 25 or 30%. And that's one of the more difficult parts right now because the land costs are so high, and most of the land sellers want you to buy it all up front as opposed to paying them out over time. When you pay them over time, it makes that return much easier because you're only paying $1 million now, but you'll start getting your money back. So you're getting your return on a smaller amount than if you paid $10 million now. You need a whole lot more back quicker. So if you could spread out the purchase, MVR was their magic. Historically, they were one of the most successful companies, certainly in the building industry, but envied by Wall Street. Because what they always did, and it was a mantra for them, was they wouldn't put the $10 million out today. They just wouldn't do it. And they had so much buying power that they could afford to go to the sellers and say, hey, I'll pay you a little more for your land, but I'm not going to buy it all today. I want you to spread that purchase out over time. Or they would bring an investor in to buy the land, and then they'd buy it out over time. So they never had all this land sitting on their balance sheet that had to be earning a return. They had much smaller numbers. So any return they did get wound up being higher. Now it became more and more difficult for them to do that when the market got tighter and other builders were competing harder for the land. And the sellers knew they had a precious commodity, and they said, no, we want all of our money now. Sorry, I know you'll buy all of our land, but we'll find someone else who will buy it too. But that's a complex concept, but it's the real simple part of it is it's always better to put less out up front. The less you put out up front, the better off you are. But-
Unless some of those improvements need more amenities and things like that, you have to look at that.
Yeah, it's a balance.
It really is a balance, and it all goes back to, that's why most of us not only buy raw land, zone it, and develop it, and build on it, but we also buy finished lots at the same time. So it's like going to the grocery store, you have a market basket, and you fill it with some expensive things and some less expensive things, but it all adds up. We all roll up our total financial profitability every year, and even though every single project doesn't necessarily return at the same rate, you look at it as a total market cost.
And that's a good point. I would venture to guess that everybody here at the front table and any builder here, as well as other business owners, have had good deals and bad deals. And I also venture to guess that everyone here at the front table, right now, today, has deals that are losing money. We don't, but everyone else. But
We make it up in the
you make it up in the long run. But that's a real big part of the home building business. You have A communities, A+ communities, you have to have them. You have Bs, you have Cs, and you do have failures, right? So particularly if you're big, the bigger you are, the more likelihood is you're going to have a community that's losing money, that you made a mistake on, or that some geological problem occurred, or you're in the city of Alexandria and you're going to start building and all of a sudden you hit an archaeological find, and now you're on hold for 2 years.
Fine volunteers.
Well, yeah, but there's that's an ethical issue that you have to deal with. But the law, but it really comes, the business. It's a very big part of our business. You have to have real high producing jobs because you know you're going to have some that aren't going to carry their weight. So you always are looking for those, and we all compete for those. And there might be 20 bidders for a $10 million job that are willing to just write a check for that great job, and not, you find that it's not in your business plan, but you got an opportunity to do it, you write that check because you believe that's going to be the home run. And you need home runs because you're going to have some strikeouts.
I'll let you all in on an industry secret. So if you ever hear a builder or developer refer to a legacy community, that sounds like building for the right. Yeah. It's been around a long time, and we're not happy with it.
So, go ahead, Samir.
I was going to talk about how is Crawford, in different counties, has affected you guys?
It is.
I mean,
And
I
let-
read a lot of prophets when I look at sometimes as well, but seven might be the seven.
Samir, that's a great question that we're going to cover in our next session.
Oh, okay.
Because that truly could be a half hour in and of itself, just that one topic.
But from, kind of the starting point of any new community is the acquisition. The acquisition guys will take we take all the information from all the different groups in charge of our company. The purchasing group gives us direct costs, the development group gives us development costs, the finance folks, which I'm lucky enough to have 4, 5, 6 of them here from our office. Actually, yeah, they do. That's what they do. They run our pro forma, which effectively is the business plan for each community. So when you're buying a piece of property, especially when you're paying cash for it, you're making an incredible number of assumptions. And there's, and a lot of those assumptions involve things that, the market, involve the entitlement process, which is a little bit out of your hands. There's just a million different moving pieces. So you try to bring it all together, make one business plan or performer for one community, and you hope you're right, which is how you wind up having some neighborhoods that are just huge winners because, maybe you weren't right to other communities where, you're not seeing inflation in the market that you thought you were going to see. Or, you're in a job longer than you wanted to be, and your pacing's off. But you normally, you develop that first pro forma, and as you go through the community, you do a big business plan for that community all the way through the project until it's finished. And, it ebbs and flows with the market. So there's a lot of moving pieces together at the beginning, and then you spend the next however many years figuring out if you acquire it.
Anything else to talk about?
Well, we have a question over here.
Sorry. My question is, what are you as home builders doing to attract the first-time buyer that you didn't have to do 5 years ago, get them into the market?
So that comes down, I think, a lot to product diversification. So, whereas, some home builders, specialize in, our company used to be a second, third, fourth roof home. Over the years, we've become, everything from entry level all the way out. All the way to, the higher end homes. To build as many homes as we do, you have to spread across all the different spectrums of the market. To attract your first-time home buyers, or to get people to live out of their parents' basement, you've got to build communities that are located in places that people want to be, and people can afford, and at a price they can actually afford. And that's it's hard, very hard in this market.
Lifestyle is the key to attracting first-time millennials is that good lifestyle. So that makes them have walkability to restaurants and bars.
And what's happening there, I think, and the way it's being forced by the first-time buyers, because they'll only buy what they want to buy, not what we want them to buy. Not what we traditionally have built is you're getting town centers with 2-over-2s, or with condos, or with smaller units. Flats are becoming way more popular than they were 10 years ago. Certainly than 20 years ago. There's no comparison right now. And there's so many, and builders are now changing the way they operate. Lennar is a good example, who's now building mid-rise, high-rises that didn't do it 10 years ago in this market. They'll build because it's for first-time buyers. The only way you can get the density with the price of land in an area that has all the amenities that the first-time buyer wants is by going up. And they're smaller. And other builders are doing it. Toll's doing it. And they have a whole division, City Living or something like that. And some of them are doing it nationally, and you're seeing more and more of them doing it here, where you'll have, all the building going on in like Mosaic or downtown Alexandria. One Loudoun's a good example of bringing condos in and to be able to get more first-time buyers there. It's product and land cost driven, and it's a big shift. It's a big shift in our market, and I think nationally, that some builders are faster to accept and take the challenge than others. But builders generally don't want to change things because there's so much risk involved when you buy land that you want everything else to stay still. And not, because every time you change something, you're adding risk. You don't know if it's going to work or not work. Product-wise, location-wise, what kind of faucets you use, what color your siding is, or your brick. Every time you change something up, you're getting more risk. MVR historically has been very successful. They had proven product that they were able to duplicate over and over and over and over in many different communities. So they reduced the risk. They knew exactly what it cost. They knew buyers liked it. They knew how to build it. Now they just had to find the land to put it there. Things have changed. That's not working the way it used to work. And builders are changing slowly, some faster than others, but they're adapting to that for first-time buyers.
I just want to tag on that just a moment. I got in my lap this weekend. We had a buyer who purchased one of our smaller townhomes, career, I heard through our sales staff, she said, I love this home, but don't you have anything smaller? And it was our smallest product. So there is a trend toward, even if it's not a flat, there's a trend toward a feasible smaller product. That was 1,300.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems smaller, like everybody's saying here. And then simple both in floor plan, but also simple, we gotta learn to simplify our process for the next generation buyers because, I mean, my kids are not quite millennials, but I mean, I call them on the phone and they text me back and say, what's up? So we've got to figure out how to make, how many appointments do we all have in the building process that we deal with? And we got to find a way to simplify that process and take less hours out, because it's just not going to work for the next generation. It's a very complicated process, but we're going to pass it.
I see a lot of work with PYA, and I think they're taking the lead on that one and doing about 2 communities in which, mostly in Maryland, and not even Mosaic is one of them, and we've been able to capture that smaller, houses for better than 1.5 million. I'm asking who's buying them. A lot of single lawyers, a lot of single, people who are buying them. So we've been pretty successful in doing that.
Yeah, and that's been their model for a long time, and there weren't many competitors
Yeah.
in that, and now they got a head start on the other buildings because they're right in the right place for a lot of time
They have lifestyle already built in.
already built in. Yep. Why don't we take a 5-minute break, and then we'll try and get out, if everyone's okay, somewhere around 11.